Okay, welcome to, thanks for joining me on the glide slope. We're going to be doing a couple of things today. In particular, we're going to be testing some things today. So one of my favorite aircraft is the Cessna 177 Cardinal RG. I used to fly it and prepared all the time, and haven't more recently because I haven't been able to find good models that are available for X-Plane. But the latest from Alabeo just came out, and I was excited to try it out. So we're in VR today, so we're going to be testing that out a little bit. Also, I'm now, for the first time, using the xCchecklist plugin that I'm going to be using to run checklists, and I found a very complete checklist for the 172, and I updated it to reflect the right checklist for the RG 177. So we've got that over there. And then finally, I've been working in kind of my spare time, not that I've had a lot lately, on a new version of the default scenery for Albert Whitted in St. Petersburg. And I wanted to test it out and see how it's looking. So that's what we've got going on here. So we'll probably do a couple things for that. We'll probably let me set this to live chat. We'll probably teleport around here a little bit and check out the airport. And that's the deal. So we'll take a look here at the Cardinal first. PBR reflections, as you can see, those look great. And the 177 isn't made anymore, but one of the things that made it distinctive is it's got more power than the 172, but not as much as the 182. It has sort of a sleeker look to it, and it has no wing struts. And then finally, it's notable for these big doors that it has. Looks like that one. Oh, there we go. So that's all seems to be modeled, whoa, quite well here by the folks at Alabeo/Cardinal. Plane looks great. There's a nice side view. This is the RG version, retractable gear. The other gear you can have wheel pants on. View from behind. It's got the stabilator, just like the real thing. See how the reflections shift on the PBR surfaces, which is very cool. Take a closer look there. So that is what we've got going on with this airplane. Let's get back in. I'll need to readjust a little bit, I'm sure, but no, that's pretty close. So interior is modeled quite well. There are multiple liveries. We're just in one of them, obviously. But good-looking surfaces. This particular livery has a blue interior, but there are others. I won't toggle through them all at the moment. Good, nice reflective surfaces on the interior glass. As you can see, they have the entire aircraft modeled. And as a high wing, we've got a nice view from all these windows around the entire perimeter of the cabin. We can even put our sunshades up and down. Hey, taxi, good to see you. Yeah, I haven't been online in quite a while, so it's nice to be back. I also haven't flown in quite a while. I'm hoping to do that sometime soon here. Monday, I hope. I'm going to just readjust my position in the cockpit here a little bit since we teleported a minute ago. I think this is pretty good. I feel pretty good here. Looks all right. Nice to see you too. Yeah, we're testing out the new 177 from Alabeo today. I do feel like I'm a little high in the cockpit though. Let's fix that. That feels a bit more like it. Especially for a Cessna. Tend to sit up a little higher. There we go, that's pretty good. Okay, so got a little case of the Jaggies there all of a sudden. I'm just messing right now with my asynchronous space warp settings there. That's good. Okay, so yeah, it was just released. So we're going to check it out today. See how it works. Okay, so let's see. Landing gear lever is down. Control wheel has been removed. Ignition switch is off. Master switch is on. Fuel quantity, we should have gas. Where's the fuel in this thing? Right in front of us. Mid tanks. Okay, that's fine. Landing gear position light should be green. Where are my annunciators? Landing gear position light right there. It is green. Okay. Fuel selector valve should be to both. Okay. Fuel shutoff valve full in. That's set. Flaps down 10, 20, 30. All right, those are working. We'd keep them down for our walk around, but since we're not doing a walk around, we'll just put them back up. Pitot heat. Pitot heat. Presume we'd feel that's hot. Master switch, battery off. And elevator trim set to neutral. Doesn't seem to be... That doesn't seem to be working for trim, does it? Let me quickly assign elevator trim to one of the joystick keys. And just otherwise, I have to unplug and replug back in the trim wheel, and I don't want to mess with that right now. So we'll just make this trim. That's interesting. It doesn't want to type there. We'll try it again here. Ah, trim with battery on. Good idea. No, that doesn't seem to be making a difference. That works. Rudder trim works. Elevator trim, not so much. Oh, there it is. Now it's working. It just took a second to wake up. Okay, that's neutral. Thanks for that. Okay. Next, please. Next, please. Something I'm missing with... This is my first time using xCchecklist, so I'm not sure if there's something I'm moving here or not, missing here or not. Let's reload it. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, let's put this back over here so it's not quite as much in the way. Minimize this. Maybe put this down here. That's a little better. All right, pre-flight inspection is complete. Passenger briefing. We've done that. We would spend quite a bit of time on a passenger briefing in a new airplane, but in this case, we'll just skip it. We presume our seatbelts are done. Fuel factor valve is set to both. Electrical equipment is off. Avionics switch. I wonder where the avionics switch is in this thing. There's my lights. There's my pitot heat. There's my fuel pump. Maybe it's just presumed to be active. Okay. Master switch is off. Electricals and brakes test and set. Cowl flaps. Cowl flaps. Cowl flaps? Cowl flaps. They're open. Landing gear lever is down still. Fuel shutoff valve is in. We're set there. Circuit breakers are all punched. Mixture idle cutoff. Prop high RPM. Throttle open 1/4 inch. Master switch on. Let's shut the door. But open that. Master switch on. Anything else here that would be different than normal? No. Beacon. Prop area clear, mixture advanced to 6 gallons, then idle. Oh, auxiliary fuel pump on for 3 seconds. Oh, this is the priming. Fuel pump off. The sounds are good in this airplane, I'll say that. Beacon light is on, prop area, clear prop, ignition switch. Okay, let's get ready to go. It wants me to start it with the mixture. Okay, so we gotta start and then take the mixture to full, so I gotta keep my hand over here. See how this works. Oh, it worked just like it's supposed to. Okay. See traffic landing there at Albert Wooded. Oil pressure is positive. Auxiliary fuel pump off. We've already done that. Nav lights on. Oh, that was cool. You could see the draw on the amperage there. That's nice. Avionics master switch is on. I still don't know where it is, but maybe again it's presumed on and integrated in this particular airplane. Radio's on set. Let's just get the weather.
Albert Wooded information Zulu. 1400 Zulu weather. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10. Sky clear. Temperature 27. Dew point 23. Altimeter 2996.
I have to say that since I've been running xVision, my visibility in VR is much better than it was before. I've been able to turn my super sampling down a couple points. That's our, see, there's suction. Fuel pressure's there, clock's working. There's our EGT. RPMs are there. There's our manifold pressure and our fuel flow. Okay, let's get this switched so we're squawk on altitude. Cabin air. Okay, everything else is pretty much where we would expect it to be. Let's check our heading here. We're about 355. No, I'm sorry, we're about 050. And that's right there. Okay. You don't like the switch sounds? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's a little too little too light sounding, isn't it? It's not quite as chunky as it would be. Flaps are up. Transponder, the instruments are set, taxi lights are on. We don't need taxi lights right now. Parking brakes we've checked. That's interesting. Doesn't seem to be reliable here in terms of what it's reading. It reads the previous checklist, no problem. There we go. There we go. Before taxi run-up. Okay, well, we know what to do with that. Parking brakes are up, seatbelts are locked, cabin doors are shut, flight controls free and correct. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It goes back and forth. Fuel quantity, we have gas. Mixture, full, rich, fuel for ejector valve for both, throttle. Let's taxi where we would do our little run-up first. Brakes are working. All right, here at Whitted, when they tell you to taxi out and go off on 07, you taxi out and do your run-up right over here. There's a custom Albert Whitted in the .org that's great. Looks just like the real thing, but I wanted to build one for the gateway. So that's what I've been working on. I can see I've got that hanger going the wrong direction, so I got to turn that around. I've got some shimmering. I need to offset that second story a little bit there. We'll walk around after a little flight in virtual reality and look at some of the things that we've got going on here. In particular, whoa, where'd those clouds come from? Let's turn those off. I don't want clouds. There we go. It's a little too bright and contrasty for me in this XVision setup. I'll have to play with that. But also I've been working really hard on the getting the runway textures right. I'm doing them all custom in terms of using default asphalt textures. And I want to get a sense of how they look from the air. Sensitivity, steering on the ground, feels good. Feels realistic to me. Quite easy. Now I'm using rudder pedals, and the braking feels quite good also. Okay, we'll do a quick run up here. Throttle up to 1800 RPM. But that does sound good, doesn't it? I love the Cardinal. I think it's such a cool airplane. An airplane I've always wanted to own. Okay, magnetos. We have positive suction. We've got cylinder head temperature is doing okay. Fuel's good. Oil temperature is green. Oil pressure is good. Amperage is good. Annunciator panel. I don't even know where my annunciator button is on this. I don't see one. Does anybody else see an annunciator panel on this? I don't. Maybe it doesn't have one. Okay. We'll throttle back. And then up to 1,000. Okay, flight instruments are checked and set. Radios, avionics are set. Transponder, we're squawking altitude already. GPS, we have an autopilot, is off. We don't have an auto. Oh, we do have an autopilot. It is off. Okay. Good. Strobe lights. We'll do that in just a second. We'll turn on our land. Well, we're right here. We'll turn on our landing lights. Let's see. What have we got here? That's landing in that taxi. Okay. Landing. Strobe. And we're ready to go. Throttle friction lock adjust. Feels good. It's not touchy. It feels good. Yeah, the Pipers tend to be touchy. Just Flight, I think. I'm not quite sure why they are, but they are. The mag switch sound. That sound? That's their default sound, I think, that they use. So you can see I've been doing a lot with the lines and the textures. We've got the green painted texture here like they have in the real world. Those little squares are there. There's a fence and stuff, a parking lot I got to put in over there. But I want to see if all my texture work on the runways is rendered. You know, you have to have everything ordered in the right layers, otherwise it doesn't show up. I can already tell you that my numbers are not showing up for this set of that's showing up down there, though, that there should be more arrows here for the displace threshold. You can see I've got darker colors of, I think someone's about to land on top of us. Yeah. I've got darker colors of, uh-oh, asphalt here than the runway. Like how it went around me there. All right, well, let's go. Let's see how this thing flies. Full power, full prop. So far, you need a fair amount of right rudder, which is good. It doesn't have my runway center lines rendered. They're layered incorrectly, obviously. 55 knots, we rotate. That runway looks good. Okay, gear up. All right, let's go fly around and look. Yeah, the textures, those are, I'm just using default gate weight stuff, but I don't know if you've noticed, but Mr. X has just released updated default texture replacements. That's what I'm using. But the main thing I'm trying to do is reflect accurately where there are different shades of asphalt on the airport. We'll just fly by and see how it looks. So far this airplane flies nicely. So I've hand placed the numbers, hand drawn the numbers so they look like they do in the real world. It still has looks like I still have the default runway turned on for 1836, so I'll need to turn that off. Number 25 looks good though, doesn't it? Yeah, that's interesting. It's not reading the most recent version of this scenery. I have updated it since this version that's in here, and I downloaded it into the custom scenery folder, but it's not seeing it for some reason. Maybe I need to mess with it, which I will probably do because I want to see how this stuff really looks. I've done a lot of work on 2.5 in particular, so maybe my things are layering correctly, but it's just not the most recent version. I did the Albert Whitted language, which you'll see here. It looks good. I also did the compass rose. So anybody here flies in the real world knows that you have to go to the compass rose. So there's the compass rose. That looks pretty good. That stuff all looks pretty good. I've replaced some of those hangers. We'll need to check that out. The helicopter pads look sweet. So all told, it's looking pretty good. Is this bird considered as a bush plane? I don't know. I don't know. I got traffic coming at me though, I can see that. I wonder if the motor in real life sounds this loud. Let's try landing performance. Huh. Yeah, let me put the landing gear down, please. There we go. Green lights. 2 notches of flaps. Let's see if we can land it all right. Airspeed's right at 70. Trim, trim, trim. We're at full trim deflection, okay. Feels like faster than 70 knots, but okay, whatever they say. Pull back, pull back. That felt quite realistic in terms of how far back I had to pull. Ground steering is great. Feels real. It's not nearly as touchy on the ground as a lot of these airplanes can be. Tower looks good. The little tower complex building looks good. I'm not a real fan of that engine noise at high RPM, but if that's the way it sounds in the real world, then that's the way it sounds in the real world. An Airbus coming or going out of St. Pete over there, I think. Yep. Let's fly over the field from this side and see how it looks. Then I need to reload the scenery and make sure that we've got the most recent version in here. There's traffic landing right there at Whitted. That's the World Traffic plugin doing that. I've also done a whole bunch of work. There's a Indy Series race car race here every year. That's the pits. So I rendered all the paints for all the paint for the pits. That's what all that is. The new red textures that you can get in X-Plane. Or the new red lines for tarmac textures. Those look good. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll land and then I'm going to reload the scenery. In terms of flying, this airplane flies great. Maybe we should see how things look at night. Try the night lighting, so let me do that. And let's see. I got to turn on the lights. I got to remember where the lights are. That looks like lights. There we go. There we go. That's cool. My gear's still down. It looks like that's on or off. Yeah, we can dim those. You can dim those too, but they're touchy. That looks good. The compass looks great in VR. Or we'll find that. Hi guys. Yeah, this is looking good in VR, I have to say. Let's turn on our Landing light is on, all our lights are on. Are my strobes going? Hard to tell. I'm going to presume they are. We'll do a flyby here of Albert Whitted at night, see how it's looking since I've been working on it. But the interior night textures look great. That's better. It's a little easier on the eyes. Wooded looks good. The lighting looks good. I've hand placed every taxi light, so those aren't default taxiway lighting systems, or the blue lights, the taxiway lights. You know, X-Plane can place them by default. This is not. I've hand placed them. I've got some more to do, but it's getting close to being done. And that all looks pretty good. Down there. I haven't placed nearly all the runway lights and stuff, or the tarmac lights and stuff that I have to place, but they're coming along. The directional runway lights look great. Take one more turn here and then we'll... Oh, hey, there's the moon. Look at that. And then we'll see how it looks coming down this side. Yes, Albert Whitted is my home airport. That is correct. .200 feet altitude here. We want to not stall the airplane. That looks good. So Whitted is looking good at night. I just need to load the most recent version of the scenery so you can see how the textures are looking. Okay. Meantime, we have landing traffic and big buildings we're trying not to run into. X-Plane at night is a pretty amazing simulator, I have to say. Okay. Let's go back to daytime. Let's make a quick landing. Turn our lights off. The trim is takes some getting used to in this airplane. We would not do what we're doing right now in the real world, for the record. The only thing I've noticed is that the trim wheel here doesn't work in VR. This one does. .65 knots. Settled a little faster than I was expecting. Now, of course, we don't have full flaps. That might be why. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Okay. Hello from the UK. Alright, so let's go reload because I've replaced these textures here. I've done quite a bit of work since this version. I'm not quite sure why it didn't load. Maybe I didn't actually copy it over to the folder like I thought. But the good thing is we can just reload. I can move it over and we can reload the scenery and then take a look. Meantime, let's look at the compass rose. See how it turned out. I think it looks pretty good. They tell you to do your run up at the compass rose. Like those tanks are not actually tanks like that. I fixed that. This looks a lot like what it looks like in the real world when you do this. Okay, let's park here. And let's give me a second here to figure out why I don't have the correct scenery. Hold on one second. I know I didn't work. I didn't export it. Yeah, I really like the 177. It is a blast. It's a really cool airplane. Yeah, so I didn't export. I saved the scenery, but I didn't export it. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that delay, guys. I have successfully exported the scenery. Now we're just going to give Dropbox a second to update it. Looks like that's all done. I'll now copy it over. Yeah, that looks like that's all the correct stuff. Okay, now we will try reloading the scenery, so stick with me here for a second while this happens. So what I've been trying to do is make the tarmac and the runway stripes and you know, the centerline stripes, the threshold, the runway numbers, the different types of asphalt across the tarmac. Someplace it's concrete, someplace it's lighter asphalt, someplace it's newer, darker asphalt. They're now, you can do, there's a whole bunch of new lines in the Scenery Designer in WED now, including red and blue lines. Given that this airport is home to a race car race every year on the Indy Series, the St. Pete Grand Prix, there are parts of the airport where tarmac and things like that are devoted to the racetrack. In fact, runway 0725 is a straightaway during the race, and so the pits where the pit crews work are all part of the tarmac, and so I've made all of that. I found a bunch of mistakes in the first version that I had produced, and I haven't uploaded any of this yet. And I've been working those out, but the problem is the newest version of X-Plane doesn't run in my Mac where I do all the scenery design really at all. It's really terrible performance. So if I want to look and see how things work, I sort of have to do it over on the Sim PC. Says that it's finishing its asynchronous loading. Looks like I have to toggle some stuff here. Okay, I can hide that. I don't need to see that. Okay, we're back. So let's see how things look. Okay, so first thing I notice is that the lettering on the compass rose has disappeared, so it's obviously layered incorrectly. Let's take off and see how things look from the air. But I have to fix the lettering. Okay, well, we'll remember to do that. So we got to fix that. The lettering for the compass rose is off. I can see that it's actually placing the centerline stripe, so that's good. Like I've even tried to, there's these little white stripes or squares here. I don't know if you can see, but I actually tried to, with yellow, make where the tie-down points are for the parking spots. We've got some traffic taxing around here. I wonder if he's parking. He did park. He parked right on the T-square too. Look at that. That's great. Yes, there are cars sitting around here on the tarmac in the real thing. Those are looking good. Those hangers look all right. I haven't finished all the lines yet, but I'm working on it. Those hangers down there, I actually used the terminal web kit to make them. They look like they look pretty good. Including that one there. I know those hangar doors actually aren't big enough to get an airplane in, but it's the best I could do because there's no hangar in the default set that actually fits those size of that hangar well enough. That works. Office building down here looks pretty good. Oh yeah, the blast shield. There's a blast shield. It's really a noise barrier down here. It's not quite that high. It's about half that high, but it's good enough. And in the real world, it's not that high. But it also is pointing the right direction, and that one's going backwards. So I need to fix that. But that makes it easy to do short field landings or landings over an obstacle because you've got an obstacle there. Okay, it looks like it's got the displace threshold markings in. I did those custom. I did the edge lines for the runway custom, and then as you can see, there's different textures of tarmac in different places to kind of reflect what it's like in the real world. Let's do a flyby and see how it looks. Yeah, you need lots of right rudder here. So like there, it switches to a lighter color tarmac. That's on purpose. Runway stripes look good. That's how big they are in the real world. I don't think they're that, well, yeah, they're pretty wide. So maybe that, yeah, that looks okay. The concrete runway 1.8, that looks good. I haven't put in its centerline stripes yet. Hey Sim, good to see you. Taxi, I think making scenery is fun. I use it when I'm kind of doing other things. I might be sitting on a conference call when I'm working from home, or maybe just in the morning before the kids are up and I just want something quiet to do. It's fun. And I take pride in the fact that, you know, I can upload scenery and it can actually be made part of the game. One of the things that this airplane does really well is the interior reflections on the windows are really great in VR. Like I can see the reflection of the seat on the window there on the plexiglass. That looks very good, very realistic. Let's put up our gear here. Pump the brakes. Okay, so let's do a slow flyby here and see how things are looking. Yep, that looks good. Those runway textures, or those the taxiway textures are darker than the actual textures, so that looks good. 18 looks good. Here's the pit stops, or the pit boxes, I guess, for the race. Those look good. Don't crash. Been trying to make the building where the hangar restaurant is. That looks pretty good. Uh-oh. Power. Power. Hey, good job, Sim. Mike, great. Glad to hear that. Congratulations on getting the job. All right, let's do one more flyby this way, and then we'll do a little walk around. Maybe we'll land on 1.8 and do a little walk around and see if there's anything else I need to fix. I need to fix the blast shield, and I need to fix the layering of the letters for the compass rose. And let's see if there's anything else. I need to put in the center lines for for runway 1.8. Do a nice slow flyby here and see if there's anything else we notice. That's all looking pretty good. Compass rose looks good. That looks good. Again, I need to put in the center line stripes and the markings for the rest of runway 1.8. That all looks pretty good. In fact, I'd say it looks quite good. So it's almost finished. Just need to finish some of those markings, put in a bunch of lights, and design the taxiway flows. Tower looks pretty good. That's about what the height of the tower is in the real world. It might be a little higher. Texture differences there look good. Okay. Do a quick landing. And for those who have tuned in late, we're trying out the new Alabeo 177 Cardinal, which is one of my favorite airplanes in the real world. And I'm excited to have one in X-Plane, and it flies quite well. Feels realistic. It looks great in VR. The only thing I've found so far in VR is that the trim wheel doesn't work. Let's do power off landing, see how that goes. Sinks like a rock. Trim, trim, trim. That's the maximum of my elevator trim. Still doesn't feel like a lot of nose trim there, but okay. I think we can go one notch. We're gonna live. Plenty of speed. Okay. So those centerline stripes, they might be a little wide, but I mapped it according to ortho, and they are quite wide in the real world. Let's look at the detail over here. It's something I want to see. I've got to move those lights for sure. There are no lights there. That looks good. This is where the pit stops are for the race. And then we'll go down and we'll see how the hangar, or how the restaurant area looks. The restaurant area is a very unique building. It's kind of hard to generate in the default settings, but the pits look good here. And then also we were testing xCchecklist while we were at it. And it was working good, working well, working good. All looks good. I need to put in a bunch of asphalt textures over there. There's a building there where the Dolly Museum goes. I need to put something there. Over here is where the FBO is, and I believe there's now a hangar here, and so I need to put a hangar in there. Here's where the FBO is, and the hangar restaurant. It all looks pretty good. I love being able to have these red lines and things now, just like on the real thing. I wish they just do straight white lines. Well, they do white lines. I wish they just had a plain white texture, then I wouldn't have to use asphalt textures to make all the runway stripes and the displaced threshold markings and all those kinds of things. Okay, the only other thing I wanted to check out is how some of these hangars over here look. That hangar is still backwards. I have to reverse that one, and I need to fix that. That building doesn't look right. Got airplanes taking off all over the place down here, thanks to world traffic. So I want to see how this stuff looks. These are smaller hangars. There's no hangar that really fits, so I did it just using the new terminal kit Obviously those aren't wide enough to fit an airplane in, but it gets the job done. Those look fine. They're a little offset. I might need to move them just a little bit. These look good. That thing down there looks good. That little dumpster's where it's supposed to be. Okay. Down here, there's actually a open hangar, an uncovered open, or covered but open hangar, and I was able to build it using the new terminal kit. That looks great. That does look great, doesn't it? Our picnic tables that are there in the real world are down there. So it's all looking pretty good. I've got a lot of work to do still, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to upload this to the .org and have it be the default airport now for WED. That would be great. One thing I gotta figure out is make sure I've got the compass rose letters layered correctly. Aircraft spinning up with their lights on. This is a big GA parking area over here. This looks good. One thing with the with WED is these props don't spin, and I can't figure out why. Not WED, with World Traffic. For some reason. I mean, it's not realistic to have an airplane going by with no props spinning, is it? That's cool. PIE. There's some really good scenery out there for PIE. But I just wanted something good for Whitted that's default, and this is looking like it's going to be fine. Okay. Well, we'll go to the compass rose. We'll hop out. We'll take one more look at the new 177 Cardinal RG from Alabeo. And again, I just here need to get the letters layered. The letters are not showing, but the rest of the compass rose is showing fine. All right. Let's see if we can turn it on a dime here. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so there it is. The new Cardinal. Wow, even got the paint schemes to match up. How did how did I manage that? The new Cardinal 177, Cessna 177 from Alabeo. Great looking airplane. Flies well. Ground handling is quite good, not touchy, and looks beautiful. And so far in VR, it works great. And boy, I just think the lines on this airplane are so good. For a high-wing aircraft, I think this is a really pretty airplane. And you can really appreciate it from that angle. They don't make them anymore. Be cool if they did. See if I can get the door to shut. That's all right. Okay, so that's a quick flight. Thanks for watching on the glide slope. And we also had a quick look at xCchecklist plugin, where it seems to work pretty well. And I don't know, I think that's all I got. We'll see you on the next flight. I hope to do another flight tomorrow. I got to get some time in here. I haven't been in a real or simulated airplane for quite a while. All right, thanks for watching on the glide slope.